homelessness. But in terms of getting well, I first dealt with the addiction piece.
Right.
And for 4 years, my life was markedly better in that I had a home and a bed and everything, but I wasn't able to work or keep friends. So I was abstaining from all the substances successfully, but my life was not a healthy life. And then for 2 years I did trauma work with a trauma therapist, who I think, in my understanding of it now, did an excellent job. Some people are scared of trauma work. She made me not scared. Does that make sense?
Yep.
She made me comfortable dealing with my
it's a scary
stuff.
place to be.
Yeah, it can be.
Because we're not self-medicating now.
Right.
And now all of a sudden we have to face not only life, but some of the stuff that people did to us, as well as what we might have done to somebody.
Right.
And a lot of that can be very scary.
It's absolutely scary. The woman that worked with me made me comfortable first, and we did the work as I was able. So it wasn't, let's do some work, you know, it's going to be hard, let's go do hard work. It was, make yourself able, make yourself comfortable, let's see where we are, was her approach. So I was never put in a position of needing to do things that were nasty. And I felt that as I learned the skills and as I let my emotions surface, as I just did the things I was able, my life got better. I became more able to concentrate, I became more able to think, and within 2 years, I was able to keep a regular job. For the first time in my life, I was like 40 years old. I'm thinking 40, 45 years old, first able to keep a regular job. And so starting with the trainings, it just made a natural fit.
And now you, as I said before I forgot the service providers and frontline staff at the top of the show. By going out, and I think it's so great because there are so many people out there who have the facts, who have the figures, who have the stats, can talk about addiction or trauma and give you all the scientific or the medical side of it. But Tom, don't you find that there's, and this is exactly what you're doing, because the people are getting the information that they need, but when that frontline staff or that service provider is sitting there, all of a sudden it becomes personal, because the panels that you put together, their stories, they're real people. They're not a stat in a book.
Right.
Now they're looking at the person right there.
Right.
Who's gone through, and it adds a different element to it.
It adds a totally new element to it as well, which is a little bit disappointing, but it's also wonderful that we have this opportunity. I travel around the province and I take my friends with me. This person has addiction and bipolar. This person has addiction. I identify as a trauma survivor with addiction. And we all have our various issues. You know, it's never addiction alone. And quite often the participants, the audience members come up and they say, I went to school for this many years, I've been working in the field for this many years, and this is the first time I've really been able to talk to somebody about their issues in a safe and open way. One of the most interesting questions I've had was, Tom, you talk about your first therapist. What was his office like? Did he have plants? Because the frontline workers and the therapists, they really care about all these things. And you can't say to your client, okay, I know you're a substance abuser and you've been abused. Do you like my plants? I got them at IKEA. And they really care about that. They care about how they sit. They care about where they sit. They care about the paintings. And they care about how they act. And they care about what they do to you and for you. And we give them an opportunity to ask about those things and honesty and what actually brings it about. And it comes right back to what you said, it's all personal. The largest component in any healing relationship, this comes out over the panels. We've had more than 1,200 people pass through the panel process as audience, right?
Right.
And the consistent idea that they find value in is that it's the personal relationship. So it's exactly what you said.
Yep, absolutely. And I see that. It's like when you go into a school and you're talking to the kids today about alcohol, drugs, or bullying or whatever. Well, the first thing I tell them in the school is, I'm not your principal, I'm not your vice principal, I'm not your teacher, I'm not a cop, and I'm not your parent. I'm somebody who's been there, I'm somebody who's done that, and all I'm here to do is tell you my story. If you want to ignore it and keep doing what you're doing, that's up to you. But you're hearing about the consequences. So when they do happen, you can't say, Well, geez, no one ever told me. Because I'm telling you, now, it's like this show. We share information with our viewers, and we talk from the heart, and we have the passion for what we're doing. And for those who have made choices to change their life and live a healthier life, they will. And for those who are sitting back and saying, well, you know, I want to change, but I don't know what to do, we're also here to try to help guide those people to the appropriate agencies or individuals and therapists and groups and what have you, who are already out there doing a great job, and like Cass Canada in what you're doing. So that's our purpose for doing what we're doing. And by working, you know, Tom, it's a late Sunday night, and Tom is here and at 11:30 Eastern time on a Sunday night. But it shows that the different services that are out there, we all care.
Yeah.
You know, and if you want to change and if you want to get better, there are so many people that have gone long before Tom and I who have set the bar, if you will,
right,
for what they do for people in recovery, whether it be addiction, mental health, trauma. I mean, everybody. I mean, whether you look at a 12-step program, whether you look at something like Life Ring, there are people who really care and who have been there and done that, and they want to take you by the hand and help lead you down a path that worked and works for others.
Yeah. When you're ready to ask for help, there's a lot of help out there. My personal perspective is there's something about a 2-week barrier. Mm-hmm. When you maybe phone an agency and there's a 2-week waiting time, or you might go to a meeting but you can't go for another week. When you can invest in that much time, everything starts to snowball, I find. Mm-hmm. But make the time, you know, choose to wait and invest.
Yeah. I just want to, I want to remind everybody this evening, it's open lines. Okay, we most weeks we have open lines, alcohol, drugs, gambling. If you have a question, if there's something that you're going through and you need to talk, by all means, please talk. However, tonight's theme is addiction, mental health, and trauma, and really what we're going to discuss is the importance of dealing with grief, loss, trauma issues, and even stuff as simple as unresolved issues and unresolved resentment, bitterness, hatred, unforgiveness, because it all plays a role in getting better when we deal with these things. And they all have to be dealt with, and we know that it can be scary, and we know it can be overwhelming. So one of the things that we want this evening is, if you've dealt with something like this and you have a success story, then call in and help somebody who's somewhere in this country looking for some support or encouragement. We'd like to hear from you, and like I said before, whatever it is that you may be looking for, whatever it is that you may want to talk about tonight, the lines are now open, and when we come back, we will be taking your calls. More Living Clean right after this.
Are you struggling with an addiction? At Bellwood, we provide treatment for problems with alcohol, drugs, gambling, sexual addiction, and eating disorders. Our goal is to get you back on track with your job, your family, your life. We're just a phone call away. Call Bellwood Health Services now to schedule a confidential assessment. 1-800-387-6198 or visit bellwood.ca. Bellwood Health Services. Discover the freedom of being well.
Is someone else's drinking affecting your life? Does it make you feel angry?
Don't yell at me because you're mad at your mom. She's the drunk, not me.
Does it make you feel sorry for yourself?
Hey, Tanya's drinking again, and maybe next time.
Or does it even make you feel frightened?
Does Daddy have to drink so much?
No matter how you feel, we can help. We're Al-Anon family groups, and we know what it's like. Just call 1-888-4-AL-ANON. To help them, you have to help yourself first.
At 7 years old, I was sexually abused for the very first time. I became aware that it was very difficult for you to make fun of me while you're sitting flat on your back with a split lip or your nose bleeding. I became a bully. All of a sudden, I'd start drinking at 15 years old, in and out of town, and I'm going, boy, does this feel good. What an escape. What a lie. They told me, Glenn, if you don't stop drinking and drugging, you're gonna die. They were right. You gotta deal with the issue. Well, I don't fit in if I don't. My group, if I don't smoke up, if I don't smoke a cigarette, if I don't take that drink, I'm not gonna fit in. Find new friends. Everybody in this room is a role model, whether you like it or not. It's your choice whether you're going to be a good one or not. Good people will make good choices. People who are good and compassionate to other people. That's who I want to hang out with today. Choice is yours.
Moods Magazine is all about healthy living through understanding. Moods Magazine addresses depression, anxiety, addictions, bipolar disorder. We talk about healthy living, balancing your life, both at work and at home. Moods Magazine, available in Chapters and Indigo stores across Canada, also available by subscription. Visit www.moodsmag.com.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Living Clean. Glenn Allen, Tom Regier. Tonight, open lines as well, talking about addiction, mental health, and trauma. And we're going to go to the lines in just 1 second. Last week on the program, we had a fellow by the name of Basil call in from Scarborough. And Basil, I just want to apologize to you this evening, my friend, because I felt that you were let down with the advice you received last week. I did call you, but there's no answer. No answering machine kicked in. Please know that I will keep following up with you personally, and I just wanted to apologize again for what I felt was poor advice. And anyone who was watching last week knows what I'm talking about, and we'll leave it at that. And my friend, please don't feel alone. And if you would, I do have your phone number, and if you want to stay in touch, please do so. Also spoke with a gentleman in London named Joe. And this evening, my friend, I know you watch every week. And I know you're going through a really tough time, but I want you to be encouraged. It was really great talking with you. And I look forward to following up with you very soon, okay? So Joe in London, hang in there, man, okay? And just do what we talked about, okay? Special congratulations go out, and I have to say this because I'm very proud of her, to my wife Colleen, who today, being Sunday, February 17th, celebrated 9 years of being clean and sober. And so congratulations.
Congratulations.
And as well, congratulations to my friend Randy. Randy and I were in treatment together, and he just recently celebrated 10 years. And he's a big part of my recovery and a really good friend. And I just want to say congratulations to you, man. And I also, finally, I have to say hi to somebody. And this lady is a faithful viewer of Living Clean. So I just want to say hi to Jesse in St. Catharines. And, I just want to thank you for being a faithful viewer of this program. And Jesse's son, Peter, spoke at Randy's celebration this past week. And Jesse, he did a great job. Spoke right from the heart and touched a lot of people in that room. So he's doing a good job, okay? So I just wanted to get that out there. And you know what, the lines are...
other stages that people go through.
Yep.
And yeah, I think it's very, it's a long line of girls that never listen. But there's a lot of the time when all of that leaves you back there again where you were before, and at this time you're not as you're not as when for you. So now you have the same issues. It's just a position than where you were, that position then.
Sure.
I know it's very hard to separate yourself from who you were and who you are today, because there's a lot of lines and triggers that obviously trigger us today. We're human. I wish I could like the Bible says, wash the brain away. But unfortunately, that's not reality for me. I'm not talking about anybody else.
Yeah. And Don, thanks very much for your phone call. You bring up some good points. It is, one of the things that we talk about is, it's, when you sit back and look at it, there's a lot of stuff that people just coming into recovery, when you're talking about addictions, you're talking about, it could be alcohol, it could be heroin,
Right.
it could be any of these things. And then you throw in there a mental health issue.
Yep.
And then you throw in even post-traumatic stress disorder. You talk about all the different abuses, sexual abuse, physical, emotional, all those different things. And it is especially difficult to try to separate that. That's one of the things I pulled from what Don was saying, trying to separate that stuff. Like, what do you deal with first?
That's a hard question. The thing that I think works is a phrase from the cast groups. What's keeping you from having a good life between now and next week? What's the largest issue? And there's two ways to work at it. One is day-to-day strategies, coping strategies, and then the long-term healing stuff. Having a balance between those is very difficult. You have to get through today. You have to wash, you have to eat, you have to be able to do those things. You use coping strategies to get through each day. The long-term healing stuff, usually with a professional or with some sort of guidance, having that balance is a hard thing.
What about, you and I have been talking about this, what about the barriers to somebody who maybe they've come forward about their addiction, because that's kind of okay to do today.
Right.
But I'm one of the boys down in the factory, and I have depression problems.
Right.
And the macho BS that goes on in this world. There's stigma and discrimination, but even before that, even before we get into trust and discrimination and those things, it's the lack of awareness.
Right. Once you know to ask for help, it's often quite easier. And also the fear around asking for help for the first time is so much larger than other fears. A friend of mine years ago explained that it took her this much energy, emotional energy. She met the sky, she met the universe, she met like all of this energy just to make the first call. Mm-hmm. Once she was there and had sat in the office and gone to a meeting, and then it took this much energy to carry on. Mm-hmm. But it's really worth it to focus on and spend that much energy.
Yeah, and it takes that energy, and you know what, my friend in London, we were talking about this recently in our telephone conversation, was it might take that much energy, but just take a baby step.
Right.
And like you say, a baby step might just be the phone call. We have people who call into here, you know how much courage it takes to get on the phone and make a phone call and talk about something personal?
Yeah, it's hard.
You have some people who can barely talk on the phone when they finally come to air. And it's the same thing when people make that call to their doctor, when they make that call or admission to their doctor. But what about, and we haven't even got into the issues where, okay, now I'm ready. Now what do I do?
Yeah.
Because we have, well, that's probably a whole different show.
Let's
concentrate on tonight's program. Line 6, Peter is in Toronto. Hi, Peter.
Oh, good evening.
Hi, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by what you said about your wife. 9 years?
Yes.
Boy. A lot of people would say 9 days would be great.
I hear you on that.
Yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to mention one thing I tried in the recent past was that I went around to a couple of the LCBOs that I used to frequent, and I talked to the managers, and I requested that you tell your staff not to serve me, and I gave them a letter, and so far it's worked pretty good. I don't know. They seem to be very open to that. They didn't have any problem. They were very friendly, and it was great. But if you do this kind of thing, you got to make sure you get all the ones that you may have gone to or you're used to going to.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Have you ever heard of anyone doing that, or does LCBO have any official policy that you'd be aware of with regard to that?
I have no idea.
You know what? I'm not 100% sure. The only people I've really heard of doing that in some capacity is the casinos for the problem or compulsive gamblers. I haven't heard of of a beer store or a LCBO doing something like that. So, to be honest with you, we can't sit here and say that we know that. But Peter, thanks very much for the call. It's something that we could surely look into. I know it's something I would like to know more. But good for you. Good on you for doing that.
Yeah, once you've done that, you might even hesitate to go in the store that time. You've looked those people in the eye. You've made an emotional investment in the future. You've said, in the future, I won't come. And you've done it with another live human being. That's, I think, a very impressive step.
Yep, absolutely. Good on you, man. Kathy's on line 1 in Kitchener. Hi, Kathy. How are you?
Hi. Yeah, I watch your show regularly.
Thank you.
And as soon as I heard that the topic was trauma, I called because I have been in recovery from both addiction and trauma for about 6 years. And I want to pass on encouragement to people who are out there.
That's great. Go ahead.
And for me, I started my addiction recovery first. And then I was referred for some inpatient trauma treatment.
Okay. Where'd you go?
Homewood in Guelph.
Yep.
Good.
They have actually 2 trauma programs there now. One is strictly for post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yep.
And the other one is a combined early sobriety, or well, it could be late sobriety too. Sobriety and trauma safety. Yeah, that's the name of the program. I guess many things have helped me. The programs, like I just mentioned, the post-traumatic stress program. And I have found a few books that have been very helpful for me. I don't know if you like to take book names or if I should put that on the website.
Actually, yeah, if you want to go to livingclean.ca and on the interactive forums, absolutely, that's a great place to do that.
Because I've got some good ones. One in particular, well, 2 of them actually are directed toward dual diagnosis.
Right.
So I'll mention the name. One of them is called At Wit's End.
At Wit's End, yeah.
At Wit's End, and that one includes many dual diagnoses, including post-traumatic stress.
Yep.
And then there's another one called Seeking Safety, which is like a manual for people dealing with addiction and trauma recovery.
Yeah, I've got that. It's a good one.
Yeah.
By Lisa Najovitz.
What's that? Yeah.
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 That's a good
I
one.
don't know what to pass on a short conversation, other than for me, I can tell you I spent 30 years going to counseling and getting sicker and sicker and sicker because the counselors I was seeing or doctors did not know what. I wasn't identified. Nothing was diagnosed. I was being treated for. I was basically told year after year I'd have a different diagnosis. You know, I was either allergies or chronic pain or depression or anxiety or, you know, it was constantly changing. And it wasn't until I got into addiction recovery with an excellent doctor, I have to say his name, Regier. I'm saying that because Tom is there. I don't know whether you're related.
Apparently not.
He was a real godsend to me.
Thank you. How are you doing now, Kathy?
How am I doing now? Well, basically, I've stayed clean and sober. I participate in AA every week, 3 or 4 times a week. My trauma recovery is improving. For me, it's a long-term process. Probably because I had many traumas right from the beginning of my life.
Sure.
And also, there were some pretty big consequences to some of the later traumas, like affecting my health to the point of not working. I was actually abused by a professional, which really caused a mess for me. Now, I'm not saying that to complain. I'm just saying, you know, a lot of things can happen to someone who's been traumatized early in life.
Sure. No, absolutely.
So basically, I am working on it one day at a time.
Good on you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks very much for the phone call. You know, we talk about, we touched on it at the beginning of the program, and one of the barriers is trust. It's one. I don't want to say it's one thing getting clean and sober because that takes trust as well, but trust is a real issue, especially when you've had childhood trauma.
Right.
And you can relate to that. I can relate to that through our own personal experiences. I don't know, but I didn't trust anybody for years. I mean, decades.
I still work on that as an issue.
Yeah, I guess I do too, and I'm very I'm very much
Yeah. I say, if somebody tells me something, I say, I trust you probably have good intentions. And that's where I swim now.
Yeah.
I don't trust the whole being or the whole can't. I can't. So I function with, I trust you have good intentions, let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
Then you can move forward.
Without jumping in with both feet.
Yeah.
Because I was bad for that. Even as I was getting better, I jump in, oh, this is really great. And it's like, oh, that wasn't a very good decision.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't a very good decision. So, I mean, it's a little trial and error as well. But anyway, we have to take our final time out. When we come back, oh, geez, we're going all over the province here. So when we get back, right back to the phone calls. You're watching Living Clean. Please stay tuned.
Is someone else's drinking affecting your life? Does it make you feel angry?
Don't yell at me because you're mad at your mom. She's the drunk, not me.
Does it make you feel sorry for yourself?
Hey, Tanya's drinking again, and maybe next time.
Or does it even make you feel
Does
frightened?
Daddy have to drink so much?
No matter how you feel, we can help. We're Al-Anon family groups, and we know what it's like. Just call 1-888-4-AL-ANON. To help them, you have to help yourself first.
At 7 years old, I was sexually abused for the very first time. I became aware that it's very difficult for you to make fun of me while you're sitting flat on your back with a split lip or your nose bleeding. I became a bully. All of a sudden, I'd start drinking at 15 years old, in and out of town, and I'm going, boy, does this feel good. What an escape. What a lie. They told me, Glenn, if you don't stop drinking and drugging, you're gonna die. They were right. You gotta deal with the issue. Well, I don't fit in if I don't. My group, if I don't smoke up, if I don't smoke a cigarette, if I don't take that drink, I'm not gonna fit in. Find new friends. Everybody in this room is a role model, whether you like it or not. It's your choice whether you're gonna be a good one or not. Good people make good choices. People who are good and compassionate to other people. That's who I wanna hang out with today. Choice is yours.
Moods Magazine is all about healthy living through understanding. Moods Magazine addresses depression, anxiety, addictions, bipolar disorder. We talk about healthy living, balancing your life, both at work and at home. Moods Magazine, available in Chapters and Indigo stores across Canada, also available by subscription. Visit www.moodsmag.com.
Are you struggling with an addiction? At Bellwood, we provide treatment for problems with alcohol, drugs, gambling, sexual addiction, and eating disorders. Our goal is to get you back on track with your job, your family, your life. We're just a phone call away. Call Bellwood Health Services now to schedule a confidential assessment. 1-800-387-6198 or visit bellwood.ca. Bellwood Health Services. Discover the freedom of being well.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Living Clean. Glenn Ellen, Tom Regier, tonight talking about addiction, mental health, and trauma. We're going to go right back to the phones. Molly's on line 7. Molly, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. My name is Molly and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Molly.
Today I have 11 months in my sobriety.
Good for you.
And I certainly wouldn't want to change it for the little bit I have. I'm only 11 months old, and I attend meetings where I live. They're available every day. And since the beginning of my sobriety, in the beginning it's like take the cotton out of the ears and shove it in your mouth and listen.
Yeah.
And I take in and I listen, I bring it home and I digest it.
Good.
And I think about it. And I just a couple of weeks ago I made a commitment to someone, and I just felt like I was in lockup, and I got to one meeting, and from listening in groups to people with long sobriety And that, like, I understand now when they say, you get away from your meetings, 1 or 2, and like, hey, I've got like 10 years sobriety, and when I get away, like, you start to get that crazy thinking. I don't crave, I don't want it, I have no desire. And I mean, was a 24-hour, 365-day alcoholic for a long time, a very long time. Mm-hmm. And for what I have today, I thank my higher power, my God, in the morning and when I go to bed at night. Mm-hmm. And I understand now, like, from not being in my meetings and then getting back into it last week, the first one I went to, I was like literally weak-kneed. I thought, my God, I felt like I was walking through the door for the first time. The first face I saw, you can't imagine the relief I had. Mm-hmm. And I go to my meetings and it's like I crave the next one. And meetings, I mean, my opinion for me, how it works, you gotta be there. It doesn't matter if you got 3 months, 2 months, 11 months, 6 years, 10 years. For God's sakes, I know someone with 55 years, and we're all the same. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. We're all the same because this is lifelong. It doesn't go away. That's true. I know that. Yep. And it's a struggle. And if for the little thing that I did a couple weeks ago and not being able to go to my meetings, just the thinking, like not my head, not a taste, a craving, but I didn't know what was happening to my body. I thought, what is going on here? And you're physically sick. And I realized that. And it just seems when I went back to one of my meetings, lo and behold, that night we're discussing in the big book the doctor's opinion. It makes sense. I believe I'm guided, and where I am in my sobriety and how things are happening, it happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. And there's one thing I really like with the program, and it's a thing. I mean, I can't read the whole thing to you, but yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Yesterday's gone. Today is today. 24 hours a day, 1 day at a time, and sometimes it's 1 second at a time. It's a half a second. Mm-hmm. And then tomorrow, well, yeah, you got to plan for tomorrow. But if I was to concentrate and focus in and obsess on what my tomorrow is, because I know, but I don't know, mm-hmm. You know what? It drives you crazy.
Yep, absolutely.
So therefore,
yep.
That, and it's just like, I mean, I've listened to lots of people like that have relapsed in that, and I kind of understand the concept, but I can now, just from reading different things, like, like for example, I said my body, like what the hell's going on? My head, my craving, no, I don't desire. My body wanted it.
Yeah, actually, I got to jump in there, Molly. Thanks very much for the phone call. Yeah, when we started getting better, when I started getting better, we started getting better. It was, I don't know about you, but that was all new for me to take care of me.
Absolutely. I had to be taught how, and I had to make a list. I put a whiteboard on my door out of the apartment. Did you do these things? Did you eat? Did you wash? Did you do all those things? And I did check in with my groups with that.
Yep. And it might be for somebody watching the program who doesn't understand all this. I mean, what do you mean you had to put something on the thing that did you wash? If you don't understand it, and maybe you don't, but structured, like learning, when I was in treatment, you got to go home some of the weekends. Yeah. You get a pass or whatever, but you had to structure your day. Yeah. And because later on in my recovery, I was finally diagnosed as being ADD. I had been all my life. Most people around me knew that, except me. But the structure really helped me.
Right.
So, and it still does.
Yeah.
You know, my wife and I were just talking about that today.
Is that right?
You know, when I get away from the structure, you know, I start to spin.
Right.
You know, but that's something that I learned really early, and you hear the passion in Molly.
Right.
You know, when that early passion of coming into the program of recovery, and life change, and it's that's certainly contagious, and that's why you want to be around like people, because it's contagious.
Absolutely.
And it rubs off on each other. We're going to go to Hamilton. Wayne's on line 3. Hey, Wayne, how you doing?
Hello?
Hi, Wayne.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
A lot better, thank you.
Good.
I'd just like to make a comment here on, I went out after 20-odd years of sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what made me go out, I don't know. And I'm going back into the old detox on Wilson Street.
Wilson Street, yeah.
Before the new one was built.
Yeah.
And all through my sobriety, I think a new one built. And all of a sudden, for some unknown reason, I don't even understand, I went back out after 20 years. And I called the cab, went down to the new detox. They kept me for the night, for 2 nights, 2 days, 2 nights, whatever way you want to put it there.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy had a good talk with me. I don't want to mention any names.
Okay.
And he said, Wayne, he said, I don't understand you. After 20-odd years of sobriety, and all of a sudden, you went out. Why? What happened? I don't know. And he says, we kept you here for a couple of days to see if you get straightened around. And we had a good talk that one day.
Mm-hmm.
And even today, now, I can't figure out why. And I quote, why I went out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm back now for about 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to start over again. I know you never lose your first few years of sobriety, but you got to start over again anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And as I say, to this very day, I can't figure out why I went out.
Well, just sit down with some people close to you and have some heart-to-hearts and talk about it?
I got a cousin in Brantford.
Yeah.
He's dead now, but I went up. I said, I want to come up for a couple of nights. I want to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, okay. So I went up. And he got me to a couple of meetings up there. And he said, I can't even figure out. He says, I'm dual addicted. And he says, I got to be quite honest with you. I went back out. Just about 3 days ago. He says that I didn't go back out on booze. I went back out on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I had no interest in the booze part of it. But as I say, I got about 30 days now back again.
Mm-hmm.
Give or take a day. And
Wayne, have you talked to your doctor about it?
No.
You know that I think I remember you calling in when Rick and Marty were on,
Right.
and it's something that I wanted to ask you that night, and I didn't, and it's funny that you call back in. You know, we're talking about the different. You know, we have the addiction, but there's other things that go along with that. It might be worth you making an appointment, Wayne, to go see your doctor and open yourself up to maybe there's some other things going on.
Yeah.
You know, it's certainly worth a call and make an appointment and just have them do the once over on you and talk to them, be honest with them.
And you say you've got 30 days or so right now, Wayne?
Days now, yeah.
Good for you.
Good on you, man.
I feel better for it now.
Good.
And I'm not going back to the new detox. I'm going back to the old detox when I first come in on Wilson Street.
Mm.
And I went into the new detox after I went out.
Yep.
And as I say, they kept me for a couple of days. And they sent me home, and the guy, I can't remember his name offhand. And he said, Wayne, he says, you're lucky. Because I went to my doctor, and after that, and he found that I had, cirrhosis of the liver.
You do?
He said, it's a good job. I quit when I did.
Mm.
He says, my bladder was ready to go boom.
Yep.
So they gave me medication for it.
Yep.
And back then, you didn't have the medication that you got today.
Yep.
And he put me on, what are these pills that you go on? I can't remember the name of them. To help keep you sober.
Oh, Antabuse.
Yeah, thank you. Antabuse. And he put me on that. And he said, I'll give you enough for about a week. And he says, you take 1 or 2 a day a week, 2 a week. And they weren't apparently they weren't covered by the drug card as they are today.
Sure.
And even the druggist looked at me and he said, Wayne, he said, you're an alcoholic. And he said, what happened here? Because he's an alcoholic himself.
Sure. Well, it certainly sounds like, Wayne, thanks very much for the phone call. It certainly sounds like you have some supports around you, so get in to see your doctor. I mean, it's really important to get checked out fully. Maybe there's something else going on that they could certainly be of help with.
And good luck. You've got 30 days, whatever you've been doing, keep at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, see your doctor.
Yep, one day at a time. I heard guys say one time, when I was in detox, they took me to a meeting, and somebody was celebrating, and they were talking about all the anniversaries coming up, and 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years, and somebody was coming up on 29 years. I said to the guy sitting next to me, I said, 29? I said, I just only got 3 days. And the guy says, yeah. He says, but I got to do it in the accent. He says, you can't have 29 years without 3 days. Which it's 1 day at a time, and eventually they add up. So, in time, and that's why I understand what you're saying. You have to start over with continuous sobriety. That's the way they count. But at the end of the day, I believe Wayne said that on the last time he called in that you only went out for a day.
Oh.
So, for in the end, or maybe it was a week. I'm not sure. But in the end, I mean, if you keep it going for another 10, in the last 20 years, you've been sober for all of it except for a week. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment. Rick's on line 2 in Hamilton. Rick, how you doing?
I'm good, Glenn. How are you?
Good, thank you. Go ahead, please.
Good. Perhaps you can recall the conversation we had at the Promise Keepers meeting. There was 3 or 4 of us talking to you on the sideline there.
Yep.
About the Celebrate Recovery group that we facilitate.
Yes.
Here in Hamilton at Parkview Church.
Yes.
I was just calling to let you give you a little bit of the information as of late, and that is the fact that we are growing.
Good.
There's now a Celebrate Recovery group that is beginning in Ancaster.
Okay.
I can't quite recall the church name that we went to discuss our experience as far as Celebrate Recovery is concerned but they have got the ball rolling over there now as well, and I'll be starting another group myself at a ministry house that one of our elders has since started up, which is his ministry is called Heart Cry Restoration Ministries, and he's got a house for individuals to go to after they have come out of a treatment facility. Good. And their lives are still sitting in hiatus. Oh. So there's going to be another group starting over there.
That's great.
I was just thinking, after listening to Wayne, your information for him as far as the doctor's concerned, of course, is fantastic, but also you might want to consider giving God a try.
Yep. I mean, that's, you hear people talk about the Trinity, spirit, mind, and body.
That's right.
I mean, it's there for a reason. Rick, one of the things you might want to do is go to livingclean.ca, and I invite you I put a question on the website this evening as well, just asking about what we're talking about tonight. And Tom, maybe you can log in, not necessarily when you get home tonight, but maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who'd like to talk to you and ask you questions. So go to livingclean.ca, Rick, and post your information on our interactive forum. And if you have websites or anything for this local area, we'd be happy to put it onto our resource page. Because I also think I know that Compass Point Bible Church, next door to the station here in Burlington, they just started one that's I don't even think it's a month old yet. And
Celebrate Recovery.
Yeah, and they have about 30 people coming out in there, 2 or 3 weeks old. So, are you still there, Rick?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, is there a website for the meetings in this area?
Not that I'm aware of yet. I can check into it very quickly.
Otherwise, if it's just celebraterecovery.ca, then that's on our resource page. But you might want to help people out around here by going to the interactive forum and just letting them know, those who would wish to go to a Celebrate Recovery meeting, let them know that there's what's in Hamilton, what's in Ancaster, and maybe even touch base with the folks over at Compass Point here in Burlington.
Yeah.
And just get their information and put it up into one email onto the website.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks, Rick.
Good, thanks.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks very much for the phone call. We're going to go to Barry. John's on line 5. John, how you doing?
Good evening, Glenn and Tom.
Hi,
John.
Go ahead, please, my friend.
Thanks for this morning's. It touches me in a way that I've been struggling lately. I'm in recovery. I'm a recovering alcoholic.
Okay.
I've been in and out of the program, and I struggle with depression. I've just come out of a period of depression, and I found it difficult to speak of it in the fellowship. As you were talking earlier about stigma and all, and my childhood wasn't the greatest. I grew up in an alcoholic family. God bless my mom and dad.
Yep.
God bless the program. I've come to terms in that way, but I still struggle today with coldness and unkindness, and it.
Within recovery?
Yes, yeah.
A lot of that's just lack of awareness or lack of education, or some people maybe feel the same as you, John, and don't want to let other people know what they're going through. On the other hand, I know lots of people who would just open up their arms and say, "How can we help you?" If that helps. I mean, we're human, and there's some people who are going to drop the ball through either lack of education or being shamed or feeling shame, or I can't make an excuse for them. But I think the number of people who would want to help you, Tom, I think you might agree with this, the number of people that would want to help and try to help you far outnumber the other ones who might not help. Would you maybe agree with that, John?
I agree. I've been touched, through my life. Earlier in my life, in my teens, when family life wasn't the greatest, I was touched by an Argo, Bob Hudspeth, God bless his soul, a wonderful Christian man that saw that my family life wasn't the greatest, and that's when the seed was first planted. He showed me kindness and love and compassion, and it's hard nowadays when dear God, I still struggle today, and I wake up in the morning, and this morning was one of those mornings that I woke up and I just, that daily just connecting with God, and it was that feeling of, you're okay, John. You're okay.
I can relate to that, John. Sometimes you wake up and that's all you have is the idea that you've woken up and you're not dead yet. That's something I used to say to myself often, and then what? And then I found the thing that worked for me was getting through my day and then just looking back in short amounts of time and counting my blessings. If I did that at lunch and then at dinner, and where I lived, there was a woman at the 7-Eleven that was just kind to me in a very general way, and I remember that was enough. And then each day it got a little better.
Yeah. Are you under doctor's care, John?
Oh, yes.
Are you?
Yeah. I've got a wonderful psychiatrist and a family physician.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's huge. Do you have any support? I guess where I'm going with this is you say that you're in recovery for your alcoholism. Are you might you have some group support for your mental health illness?
Yes, CMHA up here in Barrie. I've had wonderful support from them.
Good for you.
And it's that and I struggle back and forth there because I get that in the fellowship and back and forth, and it's like, and I talk with my psychiatrist about it, and he keeps telling me, well, sort of mention that, you know, you're not taking a cognac and a pill, you know, and it's a struggle at times, you know. It's a struggle at times. Don't get me wrong. There are some wonderful, godly, you know, individuals, fellow brothers and sisters in the fellowship, you know, and I do contact with them. It just seems like when I talk with, which just for me up here in Barrie, it seems like the majority are somewhat cold and offish when I do try to open up and talk about things, you know.
Yeah, I guess you know what. Sometimes you have to pick and choose where you do that. I mean, I have you know, I talk about not being diagnosed with the ADD until about 8-9 years into my recovery. It wasn't until into my year 10 that I was diagnosed. My mental health blip is, or illness, whatever you want to call it, is anxiety. And they put me on medication for that. And it's made a world of difference in my life. It's helped slow things down in between my years. And which I'm sure there's a few jokes out there for, but I won't go there.
We'll do that after.
We'll do that after. I'm sure there's a few out there that have their own right now. But there are some people who just don't understand, is what I'm trying to say. And in order for you to talk to somebody, you have to find a like person.
Right. The other comment I'd like to make, John, is I remember being the person that you're trying to open up to before I was ready for other people's stuff.
Yeah.
I remember people trying to open up to me and wanting to either hug you or say something special, and having no skills, having no knowledge, becoming emotional, shutting up, and going for coffee. In the room, you know, just not leaving the room, but caring but not knowing how. Later on in my own recovery, I was in a facilitated aftercare where we talked about how to talk to people who aren't ready for your stuff yet. And in my personal family, I was able to talk to some individuals and help them. And when I realized that a lot of the people who were cold to me just were becoming emotional and not able, it helped me understand them. It also helped me choose how to address the issue with them, how to introduce the issue or not, or how to help them just by listening to them.
Yeah.
That was good for me.
Yeah, John, thanks so much for the phone call. We're getting low on time. Got a couple more calls we're going to try to get in. Just want to make one real quick note. When you go into livingclean.ca, I talked about the position the show was in about a month ago, and we've had a really good response by people who want to help out to not just make Living Clean a show that survives, but that thrives and really grows. So to those individuals, I want to thank you for taking action. Actually, a lot of us are getting together this Thursday to talk about Living Clean. So I want to thank you. And if you want to get involved and you want to help out the program, and I hate sounding like that because it sounds like a plea. It kind of is. But if you want to advertise, you want to sponsor on this program, go to livingclean.ca. Kelly is in Mississauga on line 6. Hi, Kelly. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
Good, thank you. Go ahead, please.
I want to say hi to Tom.
Hi, Kelly.
It's Kelly in Mississauga. He
How are
probably
you?
remembers me. I have a son with the ADD. His name's Grant.
Okay.
He was my sponsor for 4 years, and I just want to reiterate when he was talking about listening, he did a lot of listening with me. He's one of the kindest, sweetest, gentlest men I've ever known. And it's really good to see him on TV, and I know his history, and he knows my history. I met him in Credit Valley probably about 8 years ago. I'm sure he knows who I am. It's Kelly.
Hi, Kelly. I'm really glad you called.
I'm doing well.
Are you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still a little bit struggling, but still pretty well. I'm just so nervous.
That's okay. That's okay. You know what, Kelly? It takes a lot to call into a program. So good on you for calling in. Thank you so much for saying hi to Tom, and yeah, he does a lot of great work.
Thank you, Kelly.
We're going to go to, we have 2 minutes left, and we want to get our last caller in. Sue is calling from Font Hill on line 1. Hi, Sue. How you doing?
Yes.
You there?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead, please.
You don't have much time, do you?
We have about 2 minutes, and if we have to, when the show's over, we'll put you on hold and we'll talk to you off the air as well.
Okay. I have a lot of issues. I'm not an alcoholic or a drug addict, but I've had chronic pain since the age of 14, and I'm 49. Migraines, and my family was just wonderful. My mom and dad, and my brother until he got buried, and I'm just getting really worried because I was never a party girl, and my parents took me to Payne's, got what do you call it, the Rothbard Pain Clinic in Toronto, and that helped me with the vertebrae. They were going to operate, but then they said that I might end up in a wheelchair.
Okay.
I also have a mentally challenged brother who I love, and my older brother was always going out partying, but that didn't bother me. I love staying home with my brother.
Sue, I'm just going to jump in here because we're going to go off the air, okay? So they're going to put you on hold, and Tom and I will sit and talk to you off the air, okay?
Thanks for calling, Sue.
Thanks so much for calling. We're going to talk to you in just a second, under 10 seconds. What's the time? 10? 9? Thanks so much for coming in.
It was my pleasure.
Thanks for watching. Good night.
Go to the blog.